Thank you guys so much. I'll just use this microphone for now. We're going to get things started. I know there's a couple of microphones in the audience. Any questions right off the bat? Oh, we've got a couple.
Hi, good morning. Thank you all for your presentations. I'm Monica, I'm from Portugal. I'm a researcher. I actually have a question for you. I'm looking directly at you. How long do you think the transition will take for the electric motors? It's actually a very interesting idea, and I really enjoy the fact that they can actually take it home and charge it there, because it was actually one of my questions where they would charge, so that's interesting. How long do you think it's, or do you have any prediction for time? Thank you.
So our timeline is 10 years. Just simply because the economics is already here for the electric motors. It makes a lot of economic sense for fishermen to switch, right? And we are also helped by the Indonesian government's boost to electrify scooters, right? So we are maybe the biggest scooter population in the world per capita. I don't know if you know, if you go around Bali, you see a lot of scooters. And even now in the fuel stations, they also have a scooter battery swapping station, right? So all the, or most of the gas stations in this side of Bali, they already have a battery swapping station for scooters. And we hope that that change in behavior towards electric motors, because most of the fishermen also have scooters, right? And it's about trust. They need to trust that the technology works and that recharging batteries is a habit that they will undertake, not only recharge their phone battery, but also their scooter battery and also their boat battery. Secondly, as I mentioned to you, the cost is not much, right? So the electric motor is now $5,000 with battery, is $3,000 without battery. The normal petrol-based motor is $3,000 also. So I believe that in the next year or so, we will be able to devise a good financing mechanism to help people transition, and we can also work with app makers and other players on helping the fishermen getting the things they need. I also want to work with this guy because I think we also need to have we need to put the tracking devices also on the small boats. Yeah, but 10 years is the timeline, and the Indonesian government aims to have net zero by 2060. But for Bali, it's much faster. It's the 2045. At the moment, in Bali, we have almost 40% of the electricity by renewable power, which is solar-based mostly. But we are also exploring, the Indonesian government is exploring tidal to power Bali. We have a big tidal resource also on both coasts, on the eastern coast and the western coast of Bali.
Thank you. I think we've got a question. I'll let you go first with the wrap.
Yeah. Thank you all for very interesting presentations. My name is Carla from Starling Resources, based here in Bali. I have a question for ID Foods as well regarding the electrification. I remember exploring something similar for handline tuna fishermen in Maluku with a company called Torquido. Not sure if you are aware of them. But a big challenge that we were faced was the range and the time out at sea. And you mentioned it's 4 hours that they're able to use. Are you targeting specific fisheries that are more near shore, perhaps, to address this range issue? And yeah, maybe just elaborate a bit more about the limitations in terms of time, the 4 hour and the range. Yeah. Thank you.
So the 4 hours is the capacity for the battery when the motor is on, right? And a lot of the time, they actually don't need the motor on, right? So for a normal use case of an overnight fishing, this is actually already enough, right? So it should not, what do you call it? It should address the range anxiety of small holder and artisanal fishermen that have a boat that is smaller than 5 GT. But for boats bigger than 5 GT, we still have a range issue, and I think there needs to be an advancement in battery technology in order for us to address that. The thing is, we also need to think of the weight of the battery itself. At the moment, our batteries are around 15 kgs, which is still okay for the fisherman to lift and bring home, right? But if we have more than or bigger batteries, let's say we have 2 battery packs, which is 30 kilograms, then it becomes harder for them to lift, and also it will reduce the range of the boat itself. But of course, there's a plus and minus. Yeah.
Farid?
Yeah, thank you, Pak Yuza. First of all, I would like to thank you for you supporting SAFET, and being here. I actually follow in my early project, I was thinking about the same what you just saying, electrifying. I also talked to Nadia, Azura, and also connecting with the tracking system, and powering also with the ability to do catch and documentation scheme using NFC card and so forth. So I really comment that, and I'm glad that IFG Food taking this because it's much bigger than our project. We cannot, your 10 years, our project is only 3 years. But my question actually to Alon technology. So simple, how much it costs? Number 2, how, is that possible to adding new features, including hardware modification, things like that? Are you on that possibility? Adding, for example, camera and edge computing component, on those kind of things. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much for the questions. The first question is the design criteria that we started with and met is that the device could be sold for under $500 for the box, and obviously volume drives how much under 500 that would be in terms of unit costs, and that the service would cost under $20 a month, where the driver is the features that are being used. For instance, are they using messaging? Are they using NFC tag readers? Are they doing high frequency positioning? Those things will mix it in, but fundamentally it's under $20. Those are the design criteria, and we met those. In terms of the, where are we in terms of integration? Very motivated. If you understand what I'm saying about the alliances and working together, there's no way that we could be stubborn about that without being in that market model. We have to be open to integration of devices. So the first pass is just data integration, which we do a lot of, moving data for people in different ways. The second is, can we add components and or detract? So for instance, we have a version that's due out early next year that has no satellite connection, just the Bluetooth, and it's for what's called in the Philippines pakura, the small boats that go on top of the big boats, so they can talk to the big boat during the course of the day without monkeying around with satellites. And there, so that's an example of a feature or package of the Alon ecosystem. And adding sensors is another example, where whatever sensor you can come up with, if you had something to pick up, CO2 or whatever, and you wanted that data, it doesn't matter. We would add a Bluetooth device to that, connected to our box. So it's open in that regard. It's not an internet device. It's a small data pipe, right? So there's work that has to be done to integrate, but we're very open to that work.
Sorry. About the cost. You said 500s. I think that's a one-time cost, right?
Yes, under 500 for the device.
Yeah, and then, of course, I know you're using Iridium.
Correct.
And also there's a messaging features there.
Yep.
So you might be, you are charging additional for that?
So on the monthly side, which is there's various packages and whatnot, the generalization of our thing is under $20, and we're pretty comfortable with that statement. There's a couple of situations that are $22 or something, but that's when they've bought messaging and NFC tag and blah, blah, blah. But fundamentally, it's a less than $20 a month package.
So, hi, I'm Griselda from Abalobi. My question was already actually asked, but maybe a follow-up for ID Foods. How will you collaborate or convince fishers to go to this electronic device or engine?
Yeah, so in Indonesia, seeing is believing. That's why we have to partner with pioneering fishers in multiple areas around Indonesia, and we have to make their story go viral, right? So now is the age of social media, TikTok. Even the fishermen, they use TikTok and Instagram as a second hand because their kids use TikTok and Instagram. And it's all about, success stories of how they are able to save money and get one less item off their, worry, which is getting fuel, right? In Indonesia, the fishermen doesn't really care, or it matters, but the price of fuel is not as much of a priority as the availability of fuel, especially in the rural areas, right? And that is why with this ID Food collaboration together with Azura, we don't only stop at providing the fishermen with the electric motors and the batteries, but also solar panels at their houses so that they can charge at home. And the use case works because the fishermen, they usually go to sea at night, they come back in the morning, and then they charge during sunlight, right? So that's it works okay at the moment.
Oh, we've got a question in the back, or did you want to add something, Pat? No. Okay.
Thank you very much. My name is Halim. I'm with the EDF Indonesia program. My question is to Pa Yuza. I think the program that you have just described is really excellent in my opinions, and they will really address a lot of things. You've already mentioned the net zero emission, which is really an important issue. And in addition, as we know that fuel is really, a big sexist issues here in Indonesia, especially if it is, connected, if we will, with the small-scale fishers and everything. So it's getting oftentimes, into some political debates, if you will. So I think the program that you have introduced would really provide a lot of, important things to address and really to empower the fishers themselves. And I'm sort of, my question is probably just, I'd sort of just like to hear your take on, the pilot program that you have already implemented, because, eventually, we like to see fishers eventually adopting the technology, right? And we have learned practically and theoretically that the adoption is a process, right? A lot of things, factors that influence the people to decide or making their own confirmation to adopt a technology or a new practice. And especially here in Indonesia, we're talking about different ranges of fishing practices, yeah, Pa, yeah? There are trolling, there are, hand lighting and everything, and each of them will also consume a different, fuel, and it will require a different practices, like the example that you mentioned, when they turn on the engine or turn off the engine. But if you do trolling, for example, you basically need to turn on your engine all the time. But if you do hand line, then you only need to turn on your engine when you go to your fishing, fishing ground, right? So here, MDPI has already explained their experience on testing or piloting a technology. I'm sort of just wondering, sorry, this is the question. I'm just wondering if ID Food would also like to explore, a piloting that idea with NGO around Indonesia, because I think NGO are, they've been doing this, and they're sort of kind of know the local context, the local practices, and relatively close to the fisher themselves, because they're there all the time. Pak. Thank you. Thank you, Pak. I'll stop there.
Thank you, Pak Halim. So two things there. Number one, as we said in our presentation, the use case for this is still limited to smallholder fishermen, artisanal fishermen, with a small fishing boat that go on a fishing trip of 12 hours or less, which is overnight, right? And it's mostly for subsistence, or if they do catch commercially, it's for limited commercial catch, right? Maybe around 100 kilos or less. So, and as I mentioned to you, the technology is not there yet for us to address fishing boats larger than 5 GT. I hope that the technology will change. I mean, like, we see a lot of advancement in motor technologies, in battery technologies over the last 3 years. And what I mentioned to you in this presentation 3 years ago was not possible, right? Secondly, this has a lot to do with behavior, and that is why the way we try to address this is we try to instill and communicate to the fishers that it's like charging your phone. And we also look at areas in Indonesia where electric scooter adoption is starting to track. Pak Halim, in Indonesia, every year we sell 10 million scooters. 10 million scooters, right? And the government aims that in 5 years' time, half of that number is electric. And this year, the Indonesian government has provided a subsidy of $500 for all Indonesian ID cards if you buy electric scooters, right? So that is helping the take up. And yes, a scooter is not a boat, but it helps people get used to charging and get used to electrifying their life, right? And then we need to do the pilots in multiple areas. At Perikanan Indonesia, or Perindo, which is ID Food subsidiary, we have 6 fishing ports, and we have around 20 branch offices around Indonesia. That is where we mostly buy, or we actually buy almost all of our product from local fishermen. And we try to work now with our local fishers as our partners. But of course, we can work with NGOs and community groups, right, as we progress and as we have more and more success stories. I think that's a way forward going for this to be adopted more widely, right?
Thanks so much. Just so you know, we have just a few minutes left, and I had a question to the panel. We've talked a lot today and yesterday about collaborating, and everybody's really eager to work together. And I just wonder if you could speak to what that collaboration would look like on the ground and in reality, and so that we can all start to do that. And what does it mean to collaborate? Thanks.
Well, we've just met, and I see the opportunity, for instance, where a particular incredible advance in terms of doing the right thing for the fishing community and the right thing for the economy and ecology can be enabled with what I'm doing, which is a communications tool that in essence provides the ability to deal with the one thing that people are nervous about, which is I get out there and I run out of power, and what do I do, and how do I respond to that? And I'm in that. So I look at working together based on solving a specific that I see, and you would know it. I would just see that I could help work together, and I think that's an obvious. And I think the same concept applies between myself and, I'm sorry, your name, Imad, in terms of working together to help facilitate the things that they do in terms of data capture from the fisheries. So if you talk to people, it's remarkable because technology does have an opportunity to create relationships, right? They relate data and business values and such. So that's my view. In one short situation, I see a couple of opportunities to collaborate.
Yeah. So the project that I shared today will not be possible if I did not attend an event like this. Because we are not a technology company. We don't have tech solutions, or we don't build electric motors and sensors and AI machine learning tools. We don't. But we are in position as a trader and as a facilitator and as a port operator to adapt a lot of this technology. So I just met the founder of Azura, the electric motor company, 3 months ago at a forum just like this, right? And then I reached out to her and then say, hey, you know, I really like the thing you do, and she has been struggling with the product for many years, so we are adopting the second generation of her product called Manta. And yeah, I mean, like, I also last night showcased another thing that we do. We met a blockchain company a few months ago called D3 Labs. They have been in Indonesian blockchain market for quite some time. They own Toko Crypto, which is the largest crypto wallet and exchange in Indonesia. And I said, hey, you know, why don't we work together on making the first Indonesian fisheries exchange with blockchain technology, right? So I think facilitators like SAFET is very important, and you have to make sure that you know, in the mix of audiences you have technologists but also industrialists that can take the ideas and scale them up. And we just are missing one bunch of people here, are VCs and also people with money, right? I think that's also very important to get them here. In Indonesia, we are proud to have a number of unicorns in the fisheries and aquaculture space, and all of these unicorn companies are also invested by state-owned venture capital companies, right? So we have Aruna, which just got invested by Temasek in a huge sum. We have another company called Fishlock, which is a fish trading company that has now opened a branch in the US. That's also invested by the Indonesian government through our venture capital company. So I think that I don't see any VCs here that can invest, but maybe next time we can invite them also.
Okay, thank you. For the collaboration, there are so many type of collaboration, yeah. And then, as you know, that NGOs mostly working directly in the field, living in with the fishers, with the supplier. We know the culture, we know everything about them. So I still remember what happened in Indonesia previously when we tried to change the motor to be LPG, and that's I think one of the pilot project, yeah, because it's already it is not ready yet actually, but it is implemented to everywhere, and then that's like pilot project. Yeah, it's not useful and it's not sustainably used by the fisher. Yeah, so it means that collaboration with NGO or with local people it is very important before we deliver that technology to be used by common people like that. And then also because we work with industry also, we know what they need for the for the trading the fish and especially for the fisheries improvement. So it can be some of the collaboration. And about this project also from you, Pak, I think it's very good if it is implemented also in tuna area, as Carla mentioned, because now, Pak, in in eastern part of Indonesia, I got the information that the fuel now it is already 17,000 per liter, and it is almost make the fisher half depth, yeah, because it's very expensive for them. As we know that now, the condition of the sea is not like previous year. Sometimes they fishing, it's like gambling, yeah, it's like a gambling. They go fishing, there is no something like assurance that they will get a fish, yeah, but they need to spend a lot of fuel. For one fishing trip, it can spend about 30 liter, yeah, more than for the tuna fish. So I think the collaboration, we can collaborate for everything, for, like how to socialize. If you are ready with your technology, so we are NGO can socialize to many people or to the fishing community. I think that's one of my question, my answer. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for that. That was really great to hear. And thanks everybody in the audience, and let's give the panel a round of applause. And I believe it's lunchtime now, so enjoy and ask questions, collaborate.